It is gonna be a gorgeous day for racing bicycles. Hey race fam, Brian Davis Races, and you can too. Today we are off to Waterloo, Wisconsin, home of truck bicycles, to race the Wisconsin Cross State Championships. So let's go get it.
Turn right.
Here we are, state cross. I tell you, I desperately need a new rack. I almost lost my bike on that rack. Well, it sounds like it's pretty messy out there. I think it was frozen this morning, and
they're just sliding through.
Yeah, I'm gonna have time to pre-ride properly. What else is new? But that's okay. That's why I'm doing this threes race, just to get a pre-ride in. I don't really care how it works. I mean, I care because
how brave we were beyond ourselves, joining forces. Take me home to the sea where I feel alive. Always try to feel it's getting dark. See if child getting what I can do when I ride to.
All right, I'll get my warm-up in before the 3/4 race. Yeah, it's okay. Running 19 and 18 pressure. Feel okay about that. We'll see. I haven't really gone in the mud yet. Just give her, baby. That's our goal today. Give her. All right, well, I pre-rode on the course for 5 seconds, and it is more like just riding in goose poop than really anything else. So I guess I'm going to take more pressure out. But all right, well, now we're at 16 and 18. I don't think I can go lower than that.
120 psi.
Nice.
Slick.
I think
we're going to be perfect.
All right, that was
It's just a traffic jam. Like,
that was entertaining.
Here at the front.
That was fun. You know, better than sitting home. All right, here we go with racing. This is the Masters 1-2-3 State Championship race. Now, this was my second race of the day, as you saw before. I did post on YouTube a 1 lap of that other race, completely raw, no music, no voiceover, anything from the 360 camera. So if you want to find that, just check out my other videos and you'll see that. It was actually kind of interesting because you could hear everything, including some chatter with fellow competitors. So I'm going to just run through a couple different things I learned in this race and just sort of give you my perspective after racing this. This first really downhill turn, that was an interesting turn. So the first race, I went into that very trepidatious, very concerned that I was going to wipe out. Now, it was a totally different course 2 hours ago when I started the last race. So there's been a race in between, a couple different races, but an hour in between my race. So the first race was 45 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes in between for the course to dry out, and then we're racing at 2:30 in the afternoon. So the mud has definitely tacked up quite a bit. A lot of the corners were able to rail much better than the previous race. But anyway, that first one, what was interesting to me is when I saw the race where I was off in between my two races, I watched Carlos and a couple other people go through that first turn, and they just ripped it so fast. And that really gave me a lot of motivation or inspiration for me to go through that turn when I got to that point for my second race. So it's interesting. I mean, there's the concept of pre-riding, but there's also this thought of watching other people bust through some of these turns. It's kind of interesting to watch how fast some of the pros, when I did get lapped in this race, how quickly they're able to get by me and how quickly they're able to tackle some of these challenges. It's night and day different. Of course, you would expect that, but seeing it and then getting inspired by it is really interesting. So like one of the pros, well, a couple of the pros could ride through this section. None of us amateurs are even attempting it, not even thinking about it. I never even thought about it all day until I saw one of those guys do it later in this race when I got lapped. So that was Cole House and Caleb Schwartz were able to ride that section, and they made it look easy. And I don't think I saw Caleb do it, but I definitely saw Cole do it right in front of my eyes, and I thought, well, I'll try that. So then the next lap, I tried it, and it was, disastrous results, as you might imagine. So there were a couple sections in this course I felt like I had dialed pretty well. So this downhill section I felt really pretty confident in, just let it rip. There was more grip on this turn than you might think. And then climbing this hill was an interesting battle all day. If you got the right line and the right lead up to it, based on where other competitors were, you could generally climb it. And this, I tried this first lap, and I'd done it in the previous race a number of times, but that would have been a difference maker. If I could have made that, then you can see Carlos is four guys up, and Carlos eventually, I think, went on to get second in this race. I'm almost positive, and he had just raced immediately before this. Now, my ability to keep up with Carlos is non-existent, but seeing Carlos, if I had made that hill, I think I would have spotted him and been motivated that I'm doing better than I think. So by this point, I'd seen the pros. They started a minute ahead of us, or 2 minutes, whatever it is. And you lose track of where you are in the course in terms of your competitors. Now, it shouldn't matter, especially in cyclocross. You just go as hard as you can, and that's that. But certainly mental motivation is a huge part of what you're able to put out physically. So if I would have known that I was hovering in the top 5 or 6 guys in the race, that could have been extremely motivating to carry me through some darker times later in this race that I'm not going to have in video. But there were times in this race where I literally felt like I wanted to just pull over and be done. So this was interesting. I was trying to ride that rut, right? Like everyone commit to the rut, and then that front wheel just does what it wants. Now, I don't know if that's a case of speed in that particular turn. I just don't have enough speed to carry it. But whatever it was, that was really hard to stay in that rut. And those stairs were monumentally large. So you can see right there, I give up those 3 spots. That's 3 really important spots. If I had gotten off the bike quicker rather than trying to ride that rut, if I would have been able to make that hill. There's always those moments of, if that, then this. But we had a pretty good little gap. So there was like the lead group, maybe 6 or 7 guys. They're kind of gone. And then there was this middling group here of 4, 5 of us. I know there's 2 guys that catch us later on. And we had a couple back and forth battles throughout the day, which made it fun. It's a lot of fun to do those things. So, I felt really good about that. Sorry about my email popping in. I'll see if I can disable that quickly. Okay, done with that. All right, so I wanted to talk about pre-riding. I did not get a chance to pre-ride before my first race, but that's why I've been, in the last half of the season, I've been thinking about, I really want to try to do 2 races in the day, because then I can end up using that first one as a pre-ride and then really try to commit to the second race. Plus, I'm all warmed up. So I think there's a lot of benefits, but it does wear you out. So, I think having the discipline to do that first race and then pull out after 2 laps is probably the right thing to do. I don't know. Maybe next year I'll think about doing the single speed race, because it's just immediately ahead of the race that I care about. And then I could do 2 or 3 laps of the single speed race just by tying up my bike gears, or whatever rules I have to follow to make it a single speed for the time being. And then go off and do my own warm up instead of expelling way too much energy. And then this 1 hour gap in between the races is kind of challenging for me. So in any event, that's the case. So I'm only going to show you the first lap of this race. But, really the big takeaway from today is I had a lot of fun at this race. And the last cross race, if you've been watching the channel, I did not have a ton of fun. Not because of the event. It was more just, it was 100% my fault. I didn't go out and talk to some people. I didn't socialize. I didn't really make a day of it. It was just stop in, race, and go home. And that's not really what I want to be doing as I race. And that's not the vibe of our racing community in Wisconsin. Everyone's super friendly. We're all competing. We're all trying hard, but none of us are overly agitated, at least certainly not in cyclocross. Maybe in road you get that once in a while. But even that's really rare. So really just thinking about my internal motivation for how I'm going to take these races and apply them to my winter training, what I want to take away as a victory from this race, And that's really an important point. I caught this somewhere in my life recently, as this concept of choosing to lose. And I don't think I'm making a choice to lose this race. I am walking away from this race with some important lessons, a lot of confidence about my bike handling skills, a lot of confidence about dropping my tire pressure, even on a tubeless setup, to absurdly low levels. The only time I bottomed out the whole day was when I would approach that ramp, the run-up. There was a lip on the bottom, and I bashed my rims pretty hard into that a couple times. But overall, felt really good. With that 15 and 18 is what the pressure ended up being, I believe. And, you know, like I said, the course is drying up, so some of these areas are not quite as bad as they were. In that first race, it was mud on top of frozen ground, so your wheel would just get tossed left and right, and there wasn't a whole lot you could do about it. But again, later in the race, I see the pros go by in this section, and it's just full gas. Caleb is he's on incredible form right now, so when he went by me, it was just pretty special to watch him motor past, and I enjoyed being a spectator at that moment, right? So, yeah. So this section, of course, is pretty good for me. I can put down some straight line power and get away from some folks. You can see that. But then I would suffer when we would get back up into the hills and fighting through some of that more technical terrain. But this part I could do okay on. And then what I'm going to show you after I'm going to do this, we're about to finish the first lap, and then I'll show you a couple clips. One of them is there was a sprint finish. I did not get to do the lead lap or the last lap on this course, which was awesome. I was totally gassed. But I heard that happening, and there was a competitor in front of me, and I went for the sprint to take that spot, which was a cheeky move. But it's interesting to watch his line choice as he goes pretty far from right to left in the sprint. But I'll let you guys be the judge of that. It's hard to tell on the camera angle, but it was a pretty big movement from right to left to block my line. But it's a huge line, as you can see in that finish line. And I won. I took it, so yay. Oh, there's a competitor pushing me up the hill. How cool is that? Love Wisconsin Cross. Awesome. All right, here's the little sprint finish. See how he's lined up, and watch where he ends up. Whoa, hey, what are you doing? Well, I did nip him at the line, so all is well. I'm a happy guy. Oh, and look, there's the beer tent. Yay, beer!
Nice again. Finishing the floor.
Good job.
Oh, my God.
Really happy.
So the beer's from
Working Drift. This is the
Limited
Trek
release.
West Working Drift beer.
Working Draft.
Extremely limited release.
There you go.
already like out back. Well, then my train set. I was like,
WorkingDraftBeer.com. That looks good. That's motivation for Trainer Road over the winter. Okay, day done. Oh man, I'm beat. I think wearing that camera on my head the first race really cranks my neck. My neck was killing me in that second race. Wang. We're tired?
Uh-huh.
Like, wow.
Can I just kind of, lay down on your shoulder and take a nap?
Dude, I'm just wrecked. That was that second race.
Yeah.
Was hard.
Yeah.
I just struggled.
You did a nice job.
Struggled mightily.
No, you did a nice job.
That was fun.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's fun. It's over.
fun, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll squirt before home, huh?
Oh yeah. It's always nice when they have these at the races.